Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I am Ethan.
And I'm Bryan.
And welcome to our Marvel's What If season summary podcast. This is if you're new to the channel, we'd like to ask you to subscribe and like this channel as much as you can. And please watch our content. Please.
We need the views, man.
Yeah, if you're new to the channel, we subscribe to us, please, because we like to come out with Marvel movie and TV reviews every now and then for like the newest thing in the MCU, because we're MCU fans here. So if you like review synopsis in a white noise podcast form, this is a place for you to be. So like and subscribe to our channel so you can just listen to our voices drone off in the background of your homework session,
or at work,
or whatever you may have. Listen to us on 2x speed, if you will. Exactly.
Which now this I just thought of this, and I don't know why it took me forever to actually think about this, but because of how planned out the MCU is getting, it'd be cool if like at the end of each video you would just have like so and so will return in the Eternals podcast or whatever's next.
Exactly. Well, I kind of sort of do that. Well, let's see. You just like and subscribe to our channel, and so you can figure out why. But anyways, so for this channel we're doing something a little different. Back when this is currently 2021, if you happen to be listening to this 5 years from now, we on this channel we did WandaVision episode by episode, Falcon and Winter Soldier episode by episode, and Loki episode by episode. And we figured it was a fun time going through each episode for about an hour long podcast form, but we figured this is way too brain taxing. Like by the midway point of Loki, we're like, this is very just tiring. This is not worth the effort and the wasted exhaustion of the thing. Exhaustion of breath, rather.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we're like, we just can't do this, especially with the channel trying to focus more on the gaming content now, which please also like and subscribe if you're into the gaming culture. If you like gaming culture, because we're coming out with new content very much soon. We figured this is just way too much time and effort and exhausted breath to go episode by episode with every Marvel TV series, especially when Marvel is like planning to have like 5 TV shows a year, which is really ridiculous. Also 4 movies per year. This is like their new formula setup. It is not.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Right. That's like a can of worms we may or may not get into. Just tone it down, Marvel.
We have our own ideas for what the scheduling should be, but that's just what we think it would be best. And who knows what we think?
That's a whole can of worms. Yeah, Kevin Feige doesn't know what a calendar is, gang.
He thinks the calendar's way longer than it actually is.
Right, exactly.
So welcome to What If.
Yes, we're here with What If, since this was 9 episodes. Well, like originally it was 10, but it was like 9 episode series. We're like, we're not doing episode by episode. So we figured we'd just do what we are now calling a season summary, where it's a whole video dedicating the entirety of a show and its season into one condensed 1 to 2 hour podcast form. So what will happen is, like, we'll first give our like general predictions, like share what our mindset was going into the series before it ever came out, just trying to recollect that and share it with our thoughts on that. Then we'll go episode by episode, just like very short 10-minute synopses and just what our general thoughts and how fun or like how dumb we thought every episode was, just in 10 minutes per. And then at the very end of it, we'll share like our general thoughts after having watched the show, what we might expect from season 2, because there will definitely be a season 2 to this show. And so that's just how the format of our podcast today is going to go. All right, you ready, Bryan? After I stop choking to death. So let's begin our viewing summary, our season summary of What If. So what were your general, like, when you first heard of the concept of What If, what were your very first thoughts?
My very first thoughts going into this was actually, it wasn't too far off from what they actually did. I mean, obviously I didn't know like what episode plans they had or anything like that, like what characters they were going to do or stories they were going to invest in. But I did have a feeling that it was going to be an anthology type show like what we see of like each episode like being different, each episode being about something entirely different from the last. And the more I think about it, it's kind of just like I guess what I first expected was almost kind of like a Marvel version of the Twilight Zone. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily like having big twists or anything, but just exploring different paths that could have been taken in the MCU. Or just with these characters in general. And that's basically what we got.
Yeah,
for the most part.
For the most part, is like what I was kind of expecting. Like when I first heard the concept, is like I think they self-described it as like we're taking like major points of the MCU and just like altering it slightly and seeing where the kind of misadventure goes from there. Mm-hmm. Kind of basically what they said. And I figured like we'll get to this like when we're done with the show, but like I was just kind of expecting like each episode to just be like a very nice concept exploration of an event that happened in Marvel and just seeing how they can make how much fun they could have with creating a whole story around that alteration in the timeline. Because like I think like now I understand the context of like or like the release of What If in this whole new multiverse timeline of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is basically because you know how in like if you guys have watched Loki, you know how Kang basically just scripted the content creator. Kang the content creator basically scripted the entirety of the Infinity Saga.
Yeah, and I believe Marvel said that. Even in the show, they kind of confirmed this of like all these different universes that we're seeing are just branches of the sacred timeline that we saw at the end.
Yeah, because that's what I figured.
Because each episode does begin with the TVA screen of like the branches coming off, and then like them changing.
Oh, that's what that is. Okay.
Because it's them changing the screen to
right.
say like in all the trailers leading up to the episodes.
Right. Yeah.
It was always like what if, like for example, the first episode of what if Captain Carter. Instead of it being like Captain America receives the serum, they delete that and then it's like Agent Carter receives the serum and things like that.
Right, yeah.
And so I think I really did like that detail. Instead of it just being like the Watcher just showing up and being like, hey, different. It's they actually have like an in-universe visual of like why these changes are happening. And then the Watcher is just the eyes in which we see everything.
Right, because like in Loki, they explained that like there are more timelines outside of the Infinity Saga timeline. And then like What If was supposed to be like that fun TV show where it explored what was happening in these other multiverses, or like it's complicated. It's complicated. Just like what was happening in like alternate universes in this whole multiverse schematic, if you will, and just like that kind of made sense with like this TV show being released after the shenanigans that happened in Loki season 1. So that yeah, that's what I was kind of expecting. And what I got from it is like, probably get into it, it's just like they didn't have to like make the What If show like all the episodes connect into one big climax, but they did that, and I'm not saying that's to its detriment. I'm just saying like what they did with it is awesome, but it was totally not necessary. Yeah, which is something I'll say at the end of the thing as well.
We will come back to that point later.
That's just my thoughts on it right now. But like for each individual standalone episode that we get until the big ultimate climax at the end is pretty fun. And we're gonna start a 10-minute summary of each episode, starting as soon as I get this timer up and running.
Episode 1.
What
if Captain Carter?
Timer starting now.
What if Agent Carter received the super soldier serum? Well, at the beginning of every episode, we get a little narration from the Watcher. Technically we get 2. We get the intro narration, and then we also get the intro to the episode.
Well, like
narration.
in the very first one, we just saw it. That was like, oh, narrator. Then we like at the very end of the narration it says, "I am the Watcher." It's like, who are you? Could you like briefly explain who exactly the Watcher is?
The Watcher is a universal being that kind of just, I mean, it's what his name is. He just watches things. He watches events unfold. He himself cannot interfere with them, as that will destroy the timeline even more. But he sits back, watches, and lets everyone live their life, basically. And the Watcher isn't just one person. There are multiple Watchers that all do different things.
Oh, there are?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you remember in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, when Rocket and Groot and I believe Star-Lord are like doing like inner space travel in that one scene where they're like their faces go
on,
like
that
wonky.
Scene?
Yeah, no, the Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah.
All those beings that he were with, the tall ones, those were Watchers.
Really?
Because there was a really big fan theory going around that Stan Lee, his character was the same in every movie. He was the Watcher of the MCU,
right,
basically.
Okay.
Or just of the Marvel movies that we saw, he was the Watcher of them. As a way to kind of explain all of his cameos.
Okay. Did not know that.
But yeah, no, that's who the Watcher. That's who the Watcher is, and that's kind of what his people do.
And these Watchers just exist to watch. They didn't do any. They didn't create all these timelines.
No,
they just
did
watch
not.
it.
They did not create them. They were just made and took an oath to watch over.
Interesting. Okay. Huh.
Yep.
And our Watcher narrator will be present throughout the entire series.
Yes,
he's like the big poster boy of what if he isn't already.
Yeah, kind of like how Rod Serling was the poster boy for the Twilight Zone, the original Twilight Zone. The original.
Sorry.
Now it's Jordan Peele.
That guy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's the new narrator for the CBS's newest rendition of the Twilight Zone, which I don't know if that's still going. I know it had a season.
This is the first I'm hearing of it. But anyways.
So
let's get into what happened in Captain Carter.
Well, it starts off the same as Captain America: The First Avenger did, where we see Steve in his scrawny form, and we see Miss Peggy Carter. And we are just about to see Dr. Servig. It's Servig, right? Is it Servig? I think it's Servig.
I thought it was Stark.
No, well, there's Howard Stark, and there's also the German doctor who created the serum, which I believe his name is Dr. Servig.
Okay.
And we see Steve Rogers is about to get the serum, but right before it's actually injected into him and before the whole thing can start, an explosion goes off and everything goes awry.
Yeah, it's like in the normal MCU, what we got in Kang the Content Creator's timeline. I'm just gonna call him that now.
Oh God! What have I done?
It's like, yeah, Steve properly got the super soldier serum, but this time, like the minor alteration, like they said, every episode would be like a minor alteration of what happened in the MCU timeline, just taken a bit differently. So the alteration was like Peggy this time was actually on the bottom floor where the experiment was happening, and not up top in the viewing balcony.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of led her to because the big explosion happened and Steve was kind of out of commission.
I don't.
He got knocked out, didn't he?
Yeah, he got knocked out. And then the colonel wanted them to completely stop the project and not go through with it and just get everyone out of there. But then Howard gives Peggy a look, and Peggy's like, "I know what I must do."
Don't put Steve in there, put me in there.
Yeah. And so Miss Peggy Carter goes into the machine. Howard starts it up against the Colonel's wishes. Howard starts it, and it's a success.
Yay!
And now we have big buff woman,
which is kind of odd looking, but
I entirely don't mind the design. I mean, it took a little bit of getting used to, but
I guess in common culture, we're not used to seeing like very buffed out women with like whole tender muscles and tender abs.
Mm-hmm. We're used to them being like obviously we're used to them having like feats of strength, but we're used to seeing like a more lean body type.
Right, yeah. Kind of along the lines of Black Widow, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
You never know.
Not as many falls though.
Yeah, but okay, so my one problem, like, I can't, because how they're promoting it is like, yeah, I think we all understood that Peggy would have gotten super soldier serum somehow, but she wears the UK flag, and I kind of figured that would mean she would be like Captain Britain instead of Captain America. Did you get that impression instead of what they did here? Because the reason why she's wearing the UK flag in the first place in America is because she has a British accent.
Honestly, I don't know why they didn't just go with Captain Britain. The only reason I can think of is because there is already a different comic book character called Captain Britain.
Really?
I mean, almost every major country has had a version of Captain in the comics. Like, we've had Captain Canada, we've had Captain Britain, we've had the Red Guardian, which is basically Captain Russia.
Right, yeah.
And so we've had all these different forms of captains, and so I think that's why to differentiate it, they were like, okay, it's Captain Carter, and then the reason why she has the British flag is just red, white, and blue stripes, like and she's British.
Yeah, British accent. That was like the only reason why. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling like it was not a nice introductory episode to kind of get us used to, like, what we'd expect into the rest of the series. Like, we understand, like, these are going to be like fun and short things. We're not gonna, we shouldn't expect rather like a very deep and enthralling plot within each of these episodes. No, because they're only 30 minutes long, and the kind of direction that they're going with is just something like. Just something fun.
Yeah.
Just something fun, dumb, something to, like, kind of have fun with. It's not supposed to be, like, very intuitive, if you would. But so, yeah, they kind of introduced it like that. But you were telling me that this is not your most favorite of the episodes?
Yeah, no, okay, and it's not my favorite in the terms of, from a universal standpoint, I don't think her becoming Captain Carter would have changed too much. I mean, obviously we do get some of the misogynistic views of the time with the colonel saying that she shouldn't go out there, she shouldn't be in the field or anything like that because she's a woman. And then she disobeys his orders with the help of Howard Stark and stuff like that. Like, that was a very interesting viewpoint to see. The only problem I have is just the plans that Red Skull had with the Tesseract.
Yeah.
Because in Captain America: The First Avenger, his main thing was to unlock its full power and create weapons from it. While in this, it's just open portal, big tentacle monster comes out.
Yeah, I guess the octopus kind of did come out of nowhere.
Yeah, and it just really threw me off. I did like that they were actually able to get the Tesseract from Red Skull, and how Howard was able to use it to basically create the first Iron Man suit of armor.
Right, yeah.
And I do like that it has kind of a Ironmonger kind of look, instead of like the slim toned version of the Iron Man suits that we're used to.
It was like, it makes sense for the technology of its time. That's like an Iron Man 2 quote, I think. I'm limited by the technology of my time. Something like that.
And so it was very nice to not see it just be like a normal suit of armor. It was nice to see it be like almost like a tank.
Yeah.
Which they called it the Hydra Stomper.
And put scrawny old Steve in the thing itself, because, like, you know, we were going to give you a super body, but we're gonna do that anyway. It's just kind of different now.
Yeah. It was nice to get a little bit of a reference to Bucky losing his arm and becoming the Winter Soldier. Of just, wow.
Oh, you almost ripped my arm off there. Yeah, I remember seeing the trailers for that on the social medias, and it was kind of funny how they're, oh yeah, I understood that reference. Haha. Yeah. At the very end of the episode, like, they cut back to, like, Avengers 2012, because there's like, she got sucked in by the whole octopus portal thing, right? And then she just kind of came back into the 2012 Avengers timeline, and it was kind of like...
Yeah, because they used the Tesseract to open another portal, and instead of it being Loki behind the portal, it was the Tentacle Monster and Captain Carter.
Right, yeah.
And then they're like, hey, welcome back.
See you in Winter Soldier.
Yep.
Alrighty, so that was episode 1. What if Captain Carter were the first Avenger? Now we're heading on to episode 2. What if T'Challa became Star-Lord?
Woo! Now this was a nice change of pace from episode 1, in my personal opinion. I liked the setup. I love the execution of this episode. I just think overall, I mean, while the first episode did have some good moments, and it was fun, I would say that this one was more fun. That's the best. That's the best way.
Okay, I think I understand what you're saying. Like in the very first one, like the direction it was going for is like silly. Like the first episode had like a whole montage of people getting beat up and everything. So it's kind of silly like that. There's like a distinction between silly and fun. Because, like, silly just means... It kind of has, like, the connotation of, like, slapstick going on with silly. The word silly. And then fun is just, like, the pure enjoyment of whatever's going on.
And something I'm realizing as we're going through this is the episodes, no matter who's at the center of them, the episodes are very much still able to keep the tone of the original film that they're kind of changing. Like in for the Captain Carter episode, Captain America: The First Avenger was kind of done in a serious-ish way, with some silly moments, and that's very much what Captain Carter had. It had some serious moments as well as some really silly ones. And with T'Challa becoming Star-Lord, with that, we kind of get the same feel of Guardians of the Galaxy, of it being very like lighthearted, comedic, and just all around a very like fun and good time. Okay. And so we still kind of get those like similar tones for the episodes.
Yeah, I kind of can see that now, especially with the next one.
Yeah. And so in this one, T'Challa became Star-Lord, and in doing so, that changed a whole lot.
Yeah, so like in the original Guardians of the Galaxy, the Ravagers went down to like Ohio, was it? I don't know. Everything happens in Ohio because nobody likes it. And they captured Peter Quill. But this time, I guess the Ravagers got their coordinates wrong and went to the other side of the world and captured T'Challa from Wakanda.
Yeah.
How they found Wakanda? Wait, didn't he like step outside of the Wakanda barrier?
He stepped outside of the barrier, and that's when they were like, a lonely kid. Let's take him. And then they're like, does he look white? No, but we'll still take him.
Well, I get you gotta. It's only one thing. We got one trip, rather. Yeah.
And so with that, T'Challa, we then cut to him as an adult, and he is getting the Power Stone. From what we saw at the beginning of Guardians 1. But this time, instead of no one knowing who he is, everyone knows who he is.
Right, yeah, that's the big distinction. There's like Peter Quill, like, you may not be my Star-Lord. Who? And then T'Challa says it, Star-Lord, I'm your biggest fan!
And I love that he's actually like a recurring character throughout the episode. He wasn't just like a one-off joke.
Fun. Right, yeah.
He actually, like, Star-Lord, T'Challa knocks him out. And then just is like, we've had worse. And then just picks him up over his shoulder and brings him onto the ship.
It's like he's in this one, T'Challa's like also recruiting Ravagers to the team as well. As we'll see, who's that guy again?
Yes. In this episode, we learn that T'Challa as Star-Lord was actually able to convince Thanos not to go through with his plan. And they do make it a running joke where everyone's like, that's just genocide. No!
Yes, well, no, but I will say it is effective.
And then he's like, it would have been random.
It would have been random, you see.
Random, you say. You're right, because everyone who had contracts still left with time on them was taken away.
I'm not going to say that my action was not justified. But yeah, I found that really funny, actually.
Nebula has hair, and I believe she also has less robotic parts. I believe she does.
I don't know. It's like the entirety of like how we can only see from like live action makeup, like the entirety of her was just robot. Almost,
yeah. There were still some human parts left, but not as much. But yeah, in this we don't really see that much of Gamora, though. I don't think we did.
Yeah, I don't think Gamora's in this show at all until like the very final episode.
Yeah, which kind of threw me off. I'm just like, where did she come from?
Yeah, which is like... Well,
I think it's implied that she just took over Thanos' spot.
Yeah, I think so, given that she's wearing the whole
armor with
the propeller sword.
Yeah.
The propeller sword. But yeah, we'll get to that in like the final episode of Gamora's thing. But basically, like, what was the plot of this one?
Oh, that's right. They were stopping the Collector.
Right,
because the Collector took over as the kingpin of the universe. and was I believe he was the one who actually went after the stones.
Oh. Okay.
Because he was definitely bigger than he was in his movie counterpart.
Yeah.
And I did like seeing all the references in the background. Like you could see Malekith from the Dark World in one of his cages. Seth Green is Howard the Duck, by the way. One of my favorite parts of this entire thing. Seth Green completely nailed it. And then it was also cool to see, like, because the implications of him having all this stuff implies that he was able to get his own way. So seeing, like, Captain America's shield and, like, Mjolnir and stuff like that implies that he defeated them.
Oh, okay.
In some, it implies that either he defeated them or he just took them from them.
It'll make a fine addition to my collection.
And so, yeah, the main bad guy for this episode was the Collector, which he was able to defeat with the help of the Collector's sidekick,
right? Yeah,
woman, and other creatures that were captured and still alive.
Right. Yeah, because I think they managed to get all of them out of their little prison cells or something like that. But yeah, like the big plot twist in this one, however, is like T'Challa always thought, like, from what he was told by Yondu and the other Ravagers, that his home of Wakanda got destroyed, and like the audience was kind of led to believe that for a while until like the plot twist of him, because T'Challa still has his like Black Panther in quote necklace with him throughout this entire episode, and then it starts to flash when he's inside the Collector's room. Yeah,
because there's a Wakandan ship in the Collector's collection. Right. Which adds more to the fact that it is possible for Wakanda to be destroyed, because if the Collector has something from Wakanda, then maybe the way he got it could have been by destroying it. But Wakanda's not destroyed.
Yeah, as you see, because like this Wakanda in the MCU didn't have spaceships, right? They had some sort of ships, but they had some sort of ship,
but no spaceships.
No spaceships.
But in this, they do have spaceships because they were sent out into space to try and find the prince.
Yeah, they figured out that aliens captured their son.
Yeah, I don't know. They have like exterior security cameras or something.
Right. Exactly.
And so, but the Ravagers do eventually bring T'Challa home. T'Challa finds his way back or something like that. I don't remember if they brought him back or if he found his way back.
No, they brought him back, and the Wakandan family had a whole whole family reunion, because like the big character moment for T'Challa was like after figuring out like Wakanda was not destroyed, he's like, "You lied to me, and I do not like you for that. Therefore, I am not talking to you ever again." But then he finally comes around to it and finally accepts the Ravagers as proper family, and then the Ravagers and the Wakandans have a whole big family reunion.
Yep. And I believe he says that he will while he does believe Wakanda is his home, he will still continue to go out with the Ravagers and like find new people, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
That was the resolution of the episode.
Yeah.
Which this one was definitely very contrasting to the first episode of Captain Carter. Just in way of like, again in way of execution. With this one definitely being more like lighthearted and comedic in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I feel like this was just like more fun and interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe there's sort of a bias because Chadwick Boseman is like, this is his final piece of work before he died. So I guess there's some kind of bias towards that thing, because it's like this is the last time we're ever going to hear Chadwick Boseman's voice in the MCU. So like I think there's like a bit of heartfelt to that, because at the very end of the episode there is also like rip Chadwick Boseman, just to give him honor and praises, peace be upon him, and all that stuff.
Yes. And we don't necessarily get an end credit scene, but the end of the episode does show Ego, aka Kurt Russell,
right,
coming and collecting his son, like the Ravagers were supposed to, but never did.
So like Peter Quill's just mopping in the dirt.
Yeah, he became a janitor. He still listens to his music, but he's just a janitor now. And Ego's like, "My son, I have come for you.
Welcome home."
Yeah. Basically.
Starla goes like, "What?" But very differently this time.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So yeah, that was episode 2, What If T'Challa Became Star-Lord. Next, we're moving on to
episode
3. What if the world's...
The world?
I can't fucking see. And sponsored by Blue Blocks.
What if the world lost its mightiest heroes? Well, this one was... This is our first villain episode. Villain in quotations, because the character who turns out to be the villain, the twist villain at the end, wasn't a villain in our original timeline.
I see what you mean.
And in this one, we get basically where it takes place near the beginning of the MCU, particularly during the events of
the Phase 1 stuff.
Yeah, like
in particular,
during the time of Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 2.
Yeah, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, just around this little early MCU Phase 1 timeline here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was kind of actually nice what you were saying in tone earlier in the last episode. It was like the tone of MCU 1 movies feels very different to MCU 3 movies, Phase 3 movies. Yeah, and so like it was kind of nice going back to this kind of tone and direction, because I feel like you kind of felt it too, right, during this episode? Like the episode, just like the events of it and just like the setting and everything did feel like a Phase 1 movie.
Yeah. I definitely did feel like it was a more, I don't want to say like primitive, but less enveloped. I don't know what I'm trying to say here.
It's like it'd be interesting just to go back to the MCU Phase 1 movies just to see how much they've aged as compared to what we have nowadays. Because they are very interesting movies to go back to, just to see kind of like the early days of the MCU trying to build up their timeline. Yeah, their early workings and everything like that. So yeah, it kind of did feel like that. It had maybe that's not the correct term to use. Down to earth.
Yeah.
Like, just in terms of tone.
Yeah.
Very down to earth, very laid back, if you would. Yeah. It doesn't take itself. It's not like so hyper, because I feel like we've been getting this feeling from the latest MCU movies. Don't factor Infinity War and Endgame into it, but like they're all kind of like very hyper saturated with action and everything and CGI and all that stuff, just to make us feel like excited throughout the entire 2-hour period. Whereas like going back to the MCU Phase 1 movies,
there were a lot of slow moments.
Right, there are a bunch of slow moments.
Yes, especially in like Iron Man 1, because in the Incredible Hulk, we literally had like 2 action scenes with the Hulk in them.
That is true, yeah.
And everything else was like science, blood.
No wonder that movie's like only an hour long.
Yeah. Actually, it was 3, but for the first one we hardly actually saw the Hulk because it was in the dark.
No, you're thinking of the other one.
No, in the Incredible Hulk there were 3 action scenes with the Hulk.
I thought you meant 3 hours.
No,
because that would be the 2003 movie.
Yes.
But anyways, yeah, we kind of feel like that more down to earth tone within this episode itself, going back to the MCU Phase 1 stuff, where Nick Fury was recruiting all the Avengers for his new Avenger initiative idea, but all of his candidates keep getting killed. Fuck. Yep. What's going on?
First one to go was Iron Man. During the events of Iron Man 2, we see him at the donut shop and everything with his disease killing him from the arc reactor and the material it's made out of. And Black Widow injects him with what we remember in the MCU was a temporary cure,
a suppressant or something. Yeah,
something
just something to negate his drinking problem.
Yeah, basically. But this time instead, it ends up killing Tony Stark.
Fuck.
Yeah. So then they go to recruit. Was it Thor next or Hulk?
Like Monday was Iron Man 2, Tuesday was Thor.
Yes.
Natasha is arrested at this moment because
it's because they think that she put something in the antidote to kill Tony. And then Hawkeye fucking kills Thor.
I think everyone forgets that Hawkeye was his first MCU movie was Thor.
Yes, it was. The only reason I remember that is because not super recently, but within time enough for me to remember, I did rewatch like the Phase 1 movies, except for the Incredible Hulk because it's the only one not on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
But and so I did. So I do remember that Hawkeye was in Thor. But when I was a kid and I first saw Avengers 1, I was like, oh my god, Hawkeye! And not completely forgetting that he was in Thor. Because he barely had like any screen time in it.
Yeah, I don't remember if he even shot an arrow in that movie.
He didn't, but he did ready it like we saw in this.
Right, yeah.
But in this, he ends up shooting it and killing Thor.
Oh no.
Yep. And then Barton dies.
Yeah, because like Barton's arrested too, but he's like, I never miss a shot. No.
My nerves are in check. What the hell? And then he dies too. So then what happens is on Wednesday we then go to we then go into the events of the Incredible Hulk, where we see the Hulk's girlfriend Betty Ross, and Natasha comes up to her and is like, "Hey, I need the big guy." I'm his girlfriend. No, the fuck you don't. No, okay. This actually does bring up a point, though, of like the Betty Ross just kind of disappeared from the MCU.
That's true. Yeah.
Because the whole she's supposed to be the Hulk's love interest, but then she was replaced by Black Widow.
Yeah, that is kind of true. I didn't even put that two and two together. Right
no,
then.
she just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, she just kind of does. I don't know, because the thing about Incredible Hulk, the Hulk and his properties are still technically owned by Universal. Mm-hmm. So, like, I'm pretty sure the girlfriend's still owned by Universal, and so, like, Disney
we only got rights to Hulk.
Right, we only got the rights to Hulk, so that's why they have to make love with the redhead or something like that. But that's funny. I didn't know about that.
Yep. And so Natasha then goes to recruit Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner. Then we get the second, what would have been the second fight scene in the Incredible Hulk, of him breaking through the glass bridge and fighting off all of these soldiers and creating Abomination. But instead, what happens is he gets blown up.
Like he blows up like a balloon.
Yeah. Like, and then he creates a gamma gas cloud that doesn't affect anyone.
Yeah. Good writing there.
Yeah.
The Deadpool 2 meme. Wow, that's just lazy writing.
And so Bruce Banner's killed. Betty Ross can't even believe it. She's like, "That's not
could you explain to me how like Hulk is not supposed to die? Question mark.
So it's mainly due to his regenerative abilities, because he does have a very big healing factor. They use words like big and small to define healing factors in the in Marvel.
It's almost as if he's big.
Like for example, Wolverine has one of the best healing factors in the Marvel comics. Only second to Hulk's. And so I don't know. They didn't really explain how he was supposed to die in this. I don't even get how he was really supposed to die.
Well, like they eventually
show us. Yeah. So the twist of this episode is that Natasha dies eventually too. She was looking records up and then she dies by an unseen figure, and the unseen figure is none other than Hank Pym from Pym Industries. In his own version of basically the Yellow Jacket outfit. And I only have one problem with this twist. And it's just that I wish they would have set it up a bit more that Hope was dead in this universe. Because Hope being dead kind of just comes out of nowhere. There's no real setup to it.
Well, like, that was supposed to be the whole big plot twist. Yeah. Like,
was Hope. That Hope is dead?
Who was the last character who was associated with Hope? Oh, yeah, Ant-Man. But we haven't seen Scott Lang. Oh, the original Ant-Man. And he's the bad guy. Oh, I get it now.
I thought what they were going to do is just have Hope be the villain. But then they were like, nope, it's Hank Pym and Hope's dead. And I was like, oh, well, damn.
Yeah, like he like in the comics, he is the original Ant-Man, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And people don't like him.
Well, that's because in the comics he was a young man. Who was Ant-Man, and Hope was actually his, I believe, or something. Yeah, no, I believe Hope was his wife in the comics.
Really?
Not his daughter.
That's sweet. Oh,
I could be, or no, wait. Hope was his daughter. Janet was his wife, but Janet was also young in the comics.
No, sweet.
But Scott Lang was. He might have been mentioned in the comics like once or twice, but Hank Pym was like the main Ant-Man, and so having Scott Lang kind of just be the Ant-Man instead of it being Hank Pym was kind of just a curveball in the MCU.
I see.
That no one really liked.
But yeah, Hank Pym is the entire bad guy.
He's
been like going small and just like piercing everybody's heart.
Basically,
like
he broke I believe he broke the arc reactor that was in Tony Stark. Either that or he infected his blood.
Well, like no. Like he himself, Small, was inside the vial and he just kind of he just kind of shot through like a bullet.
And then
he
blew up Hulk's heart,
right,
which blew him up.
Yeah, with the bit, like one of the blue disc thingies.
Yeah,
and then he knocked off. He just tapped Hawkeye's hand slightly, and that made him shoot the arrow into Thor. Fuck Thor. Fuck. So, yeah.
I do love that they constantly make jokes about his hair.
Yeah? Oh, yeah. That was a thing. I remember that.
That his hair is like this lovely, like, luscious...
I mean, like, I'm not gay, but I can understand how people become...
I mean, I'm not gay, but...
I'm not gay, but...
But, let me tell you, it was a lovely wig.
Yeah. So they also, like, tie in the events, like the big event in Avengers 1 of Loki coming to alien invade the entire Earth.
Yeah, but now it's, instead of it being the Chitauri army, it's the Asgardian army. And instead of it being for world domination, it's because Thor died.
That's
and
right,
so it created a war between the two worlds due to the death of the son of Odin.
Yeah.
And Loki's using that to his advantage to take over Earth, because that's what Loki does.
At the very end, like Nick Fury and Loki team up at the very end to battle Hank Pym, and Hank Pym's like, "How are you in like 400 places at the same time? What the fuck?"
And then it's Loki.
Yeah. So like, yeah, here's the deal. You get your, I'll get you like
your bad guy.
I'll get you your bad guy. Then you can take over Earth.
And then we see Maria Hill and Nick Fury over the coffins of the dead heroes, and then Maria's like, "So what's the plan?" "Well, we got two backups." And then that's when he pulls out the pager, and Maria's like, "What is that, a pager?" Calls Captain Marvel, and then we see the frozen shield of Captain America.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. That was episode 3. That went over 10 minutes, but that's all right. So that was episode 3.
Now on to episode 4, which is one of
your favorites.
One of my personal favorites. And that is, what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands?
Did I literally not type Doctor Strange?
Yes. What if lost his heart instead of his hands? And it's not even his heart; it's the love of his life.
Yeah. So let's go.
Yeah. So this is what if Doctor Strange lost the love of his life instead of his hands. Which, that is a mouthful right there.
Doctor Strange among other matter. God.
And so this episode was definitely a change of pace.
Yeah.
And at least from what we saw, because in the other episodes it was always like event to event to event, and in this one we just see the same thing happen over and over again in different ways.
Dormammu.
It is
roughly like that.
Yeah, it's to keep it tone wise with Doctor Strange, it's very reminiscent of the time loop scenario in Doctor Strange with Dormammu. Which I think most of these choices were probably intentional.
Yeah, I think that one. Yeah,
that one specifically.
Yeah,
was probably the most intentional out of all of them. But yeah, so Strange loses his Dr. GF from Doctor Strange, because in this universe, instead of them like having their ups and downs, in this they were both head over heels for each other, and completely in love and devoted to each other, until one fateful night when he gets into the car accident that would have taken away his hands, and instead it takes away the love of his life. Which when I saw this, I was like, holy shit, like I feel bad for this man. Like, and throughout this entire episode, you really do feel bad for Strange.
Yeah, especially during the montage section.
Yes. And so so Strange then, after going through his training with the other sorcerers back at the temple in whatever country it was, and having his conversations with the Sorcerer Supreme and Mordo and all them, Wong, he eventually, just like in the movie, finds the Eye of Agamotto.
Yeah, basically the events of Doctor Strange happen.
Yeah.
Basically like that. Instead of his heart, instead of his hands,
it's his heart.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically the same events of Doctor Strange movie just kind of happened. So this time it's like a little after the events of Doctor Strange movie.
Mm-hmm. Where he defeated Dormammu and he comes back to his original life, but he still has that empty hole inside him.
Right. It's like the whole point of the Doctor Strange movie is like him trying to overcome like I can't think of the word.
I don't want to say paralysis.
No, I think it is paralysis.
Paralysis?
Yeah, it's him trying to overcome like the paralysis of his hands and seeing that he can do other stuff with his hands and all that. Because at the end of the day, learning all that magic, he don't need hands.
Yeah.
Basically what happens. So there's nothing lost there once he has learned the ability to do stuff without his hands.
But in this, he always had his hands, and instead he lost his other half.
Right.
So in some ways, it can be seen as even more of a loss than his hands would have been, especially in his own case.
Yeah,
because he definitely sees it as worse. And so then after he and Wong have a little bit of a conversation, foreshadowing Spider-Man 3, Wong's like, "Don't do that spell," and he's like, "I won't." Plays clip of the wink. And so Doctor Strange, after thinking to himself, goes back in time to try and stop his girl from dying, and he fails over and over.
Yeah, this is when you finally get the idea that like, oh, this is supposed to be like a fixed point in time.
Yes,
and the reason why is because of that. Because if Christine didn't die, Doctor Strange would have never become Doctor Strange.
At least in this universe.
In this universe, particularly.
It's kind of like if Doctor Strange went back in time to try to stop his hands from being being paralyzed, is that he wouldn't be able to. And so then, after doing this so many times, the Sorceress Supreme comes to him in a echo spectral form kind of thing, and is like, "Listen, man, she's gone. Deal with your grief, but don't try to bring her back, because this is an absolute point in time.
Right, that's what it's called.
It's an absolute point. It's a point that you cannot change." And Doctor Strange is like,
"I don't like that."
Yeah.
No, I don't like that. So, is there a way to break the rules? Maybe.
Well, yes, but actually no. And so
how did he find this like this ancient library again?
Well, first the Sorcerer Supreme does a spell and is like, and then we cut to him. I believe we just cut to him in the middle of the forest.
Okay.
And he finds this temple, which I originally thought that this was supposed to be like a metaphor, like in his mind.
Oh.
That's what I thought it was going to be, and then it was like, oh wait, no, this is actually supposed to be a place in time somewhere. And we see a ancient sorcerer who guards this library of sorts that has books on pretty much everything in the universe.
Yeah, it's like, I think I wrote it down. Yeah, ancient library of the lost books.
Yes. It's the fucking tentacle monster. I'm looking at his notes and it's like, I love them. So Doctor Strange finds a book on absolute points in time and how to reverse them, and only one person has ever done it before. And so he then tries to do it, and in doing so, he has to absorb the power from other beings in the universe.
Right. Yeah.
And the first one he summons is the fucking tentacle monster, and he tries to bargain with it like Dormammu, but in this case, it doesn't work, and he almost gets killed.
Yeah, and this entire sequence of him like absorbing all the monsters, you mentioned it briefly like off screen, but like how the MCU is trying to go into more of this quote Lovecraftian type of art style.
Yeah.
Could you explain that a little bit more?
So H.P. Lovecraft is an author from long ago, and a lot of things that we see in like modern like pop culture and stuff actually derives from some of his work. For example, Arkham Asylum from the Batman comics is actually based off a Lovecraftian idea. And so like mystical beings that are from other universes that like can shapeshift or have like ultimate forms, that is very much a Lovecraftian idea. For example, the monster Pennywise from It.
Oh, really?
He is a Lovecraftian type being. And in this case, if you want a really good example, H.P. Lovecraft is basically the man who created Cthulhu.
Oh.
The big squid tentacle monster that we all know and love.
I see.
He was basically the original creator of that.
Okay, so which is why like Doctor Strange absorbs Cthulhu.
Yeah, the tentacle monster is very much a Lovecraftian idea.
It's so fucking
tentacle monster. So Doctor Strange starts out small and then gets bigger and bigger, and he absorbs monster after monster after monster. And eventually being able to absorb the tentacle monster and all these things. I believe one of them is even like a dragon type monster. But we see a lot of these like really interesting monster designs and creations that just get absorbed by Doctor Strange. And we slowly see him become more and more deranged, I want to say.
Well, like, I feel like his pursuit of trying to fix this absolute point in time is sort of deranged within itself.
Yeah, because it very much started as him trying to get the love of his life back, but I think the more he did it, he became obsessed with the power that it gave him.
Yeah. Like the evil power.
Yeah, kind of like what we saw in Doctor Strange with the villain of the film, the minion of Dormammu,
right, yeah,
like when they derived their power from the dark side of magic. Like from the dark book, how they're like his eyes would get darker and stuff like that. And we very much see that with Doctor Strange in this. And so he's able to absorb all these monsters, and eventually he does go back in time. But before that happens, and I also one more thing is I do like that even his cloak becomes evil.
Yeah.
His cloak becomes evil with him. Like his cloak doesn't even try to stop him throughout any of this.
Yeah.
It just goes evil with him. But then right before we can see him reverse the time, we then cut to Doctor Strange back in that chair with Wong, and Wong being like, "I'm gonna go make some tea. You should probably join me before you do anything reckless." And this time we actually see that he does. But when he does, we notice this like black goo almost dripping from places.
Right.
And then as they go outside, they see even more of it all over. And then the Sorceress Supreme comes back and is like, "Hey, you're only half you." And he's like, "What? I split you in half. You're half of you. Go stop your other half from destroying the timeline."
Did somebody say half?
Unexpected Thanos is unexpected.
Episode 8.
He's the new Spanish Inquisition. Right. No one expects him.
So
anyways,
so Sorcerer Supreme split Doctor Strange into two different entities, right?
Which you can actually see this in the subtitles. The regular Doctor Strange, the good side, is just called Strange, while the evil one is called Sorcerer Strange.
Really?
Or Sorcerer Supreme.
Sorcerer Supreme?
Sorcerer Supreme, because in this universe he became the Sorcerer Supreme after the Sorceress died.
Oh, okay.
So he became the new one. And so Doctor Strange and his evil side duke it out. Even their cloaks get into it. So they duke it out until eventually Sorcerer Strange is able to,
like,
I believe he absorbs his other half.
I believe so too. Yeah,
he absorbs his other half, making them one again, and he is finally able to turn back the clock and save his girl. But as soon as he does so, that's when the world starts to ink even more, and he uses all the power that he can to stop it from collapsing in on themselves in a very that universe fucking died.
Yeah, that's what I wrote. Yeah, basically, that entire timeline. Like, I don't know if, like, Watcher said himself, like, I'm watching, like, the death of a universe happen.
Yeah.
I don't know if he said it then or at the very beginning of the episode.
Earlier in this episode, during the part where he's absorbing all the creatures, we hear the Watcher, because the Watcher is constantly narrating. It's not just the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
He's narrating over the events as they unfold throughout the episode. And we hear him narrating over Doctor Strange absorbing the creatures, and after he does it a bunch, and the Watcher narrates, he actually becomes aware of the Watcher, and the Watcher's kind of like he's thrown off a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah, that was like the show's foreshadowing of the Watcher is going to have a more important role than just being a narrator.
Yeah. And so he becomes Doctor Strange becomes aware of him, and then in the end we finally get the confrontation between evil Doctor Strange and the Watcher, with Doctor Strange being like, "Help me!" as he's using all his power to save his girl, and the Watcher's like, "Listen, you know I cannot interfere." "Yeah, I know, but still, I could have at least asked."
Absorbs.
Now that would have been interesting.
Oh man! But all right.
And then we zoom out, and it's just a little purple ball, little purple glass ball. So,
that
anyways,
was episode 4.
Yep. Now on to episode 5. What if zombies! ! Question mark.
And that's it.
Yeah, I do love that they just that they did that. They didn't have like what if the zombie apocalypse happens. They just had zombies! ! Question mark.
Right. That's kind of fun like that.
It is.
Right.
And this is the only one that has its own very much distinct tone, I want to say. Like, it doesn't try to match the tone of another movie.
Yeah, because this is just... I mean, like, I wrote Avengers Infinity War. Why did I write that? I don't know why I wrote that.
I don't know either, because it doesn't even start in Avengers Infinity War. The events start in Ant-Man 2. when they go to get Janet.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know why I wrote that.
During the opening narration, but from the Watcher, we hear that in this universe, everything went according to plan until the retrieval of Janet Van Dyne. Where this time, instead of her being perfectly okay, she's just older now. The quantum realm had a secret zombie virus.
Yeah. Dead Rising.
Umbrella Corporation wants your number. And so Janet Van Dyne is the first infected with the zombie disease, and she eventually is able to infect Hank, who then comes back and is able to infect they don't affect Hope, but they are able to infect Scott Lang. And then that's when we cut to how long after was it? It was, I don't remember exactly. I know.
Basically, I wrote.
Oh, that's right. The reason why you wrote Infinity War is because that's when Hulk arrives. Because Hulk is coming from the beginning of Infinity War, because they've been in space, so they have no idea what's going on here.
That's right. I remember now.
And so after Thanos would have snapped Loki's neck, and after Thor would have sent, or Heimdall, it was either Heimdall or it was Thor that sent him down. I believe it was Thor.
Yeah.
Who used his hammer to summon the Bifrost to, not even his hammer. The Bifrost was just summoned, and Hulk was thrown back down to Earth, and that's where we see Bruce Banner. Except this time, Doctor Strange and Wong and Tony Stark aren't there to greet him.
Right. Isn't it just zombies?
No, he's in the Sanctum Sanctorum, and he's like, Hello? We even see him like poke his head out of the hole. He's like, hello? So he just grabs some clothes some robes that are there, and he walks outside, where we see 2 of Thanos' sons, the big bulky one and Squidward.
Right, yeah.
We see them, and then that's when a Doctor Strange portal opens up, and through like smoke and stuff, we see them get. We see the two sons get attacked by what would have been Wong, Doctor Strange, and Iron Man. To keep some consistency there and be like, hey, we get that. And even Hulk's like, Bruce Banner's like, that seems a little bit excessive, don't you think? As they're tearing them apart.
Right.
So then after they're done with that, they then look up, they see Bruce Banner, and they try to come after him with them doing how they do. Tony Stark flying.
Oh, no.
Even though he's a zombie. And we see the Cloak of Rotation save Bruce Banner.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know how zombies will work in the real life, but it's like the zombies understood that they still had their powers or something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we see Bruce get saved by Wasp and Spider-Man and Happy and Hawkeye.
Yeah, like I wrote down...
We see all the survivors.
Yeah, I wrote down a list of like who was zombified and who was not. So like at this point, it's Happy, Kurt, Winter Soldier, Sharon Carter, Okoye, Vision are still alive, and the zombies are Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Wong, Hawkeye, Falcon, Captain America, and Scarlet Witch.
Yes, because both Hawkeye and Happy get infected.
I thought Hawkeye was already infected.
I thought
because like I wrote down like Happy and Sharon turn. Maybe I wasn't.
Then I could be wrong because I thought Hawkeye was. Oh wait, no, he wasn't. Because he's the one who like pinned Sharon to the wall.
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah. Also. Oh, okay. You do have it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just had to make sure. So yeah. So we see all the people who are still alive. Spider-Man still being Spider-Man, kind of. I did like that I wish they could have gotten Tom Holland. I don't know why they didn't.
That wasn't Tom Holland?
No.
Really?
I don't believe it was.
Huh.
Because if it was Tom Holland, I believe they would have written him like Tom Holland Spider-Man. Because at least in my opinion, it didn't feel like it was supposed to be Tom Holland Spider-Man. It felt like it was supposed to be a different one.
I didn't notice.
So yeah. So all our heroes.
Like the point. Like their only point of saving the day, I guess, is like going and finding Vision, because Vision is somehow working on a cure or something like that.
They're not trying to find Vision. It's because there's a distress signal coming from a discontinued shield base.
I see.
And so they're trying to get to it because they hope that it might be more survivors or somebody maybe working on a cure, because they've heard like tales of someone working on one.
I see.
And so through some very suspenseful moments, they do eventually make it to the hideout that Vision is at, and in doing so, they do lose a few of their people. As previously mentioned, Sharon and Happy both get turned, and even Hope does.
Yeah, even Hope, when she does the big heroic thing, big and no pun intended.
Yes, she does go big mode.
Yeah, she does go big mode and lets our heroes go to the other side of the zombie horde, right? Yeah, the zombie horde, because they won't get into like a certain foot radius of Vision, because Vision is like all powerful. Like they're afraid of the Mind Stone.
Yeah,
or something like
that's
that.
what I believe. That was the explanation they gave is that it was either the Mind Stone or he was emanating some form of like something. I don't remember exactly what it was. But yeah, and so we see that Vision was able to make some form of a cure, at least enough to turn Scott back. And we see Scott's head.
His head back.
Yes,
the rest of his body's unknown.
Yes. And we see Scott's head back in a very Futurama type image, because I believe that is a joke from Futurama. Or there was a character that was just a head in the jar. So yeah, we also see that I don't remember who it was. It might have been Spider-Man or somebody went downstairs.
It was Bucky, I think.
It was Bucky?
Yeah.
Okay. So Bucky goes downstairs into like the basement area where we see an infected
T'Challa.
T'Challa's not infected. But
We do see, I thought he was like in the process of being. I don't know how zombification works again.
No,
it's not real.
How he wasn't infected at all. What it was is Vision amputated him to feed to Scarlet Witch.
Oh, that's right.
That's why only like his leg was missing.
Yeah,
it was because Vision amputated it. But yes, we do see.
Oh wow, he was turning heroes into meals.
Yes, because he wanted to keep his girl alive.
Oh my god.
That's why he atoned for his sins, according to your notes. Vision atones his sins.
I wrote that.
Is in a bed somewhere. Yes. So T'Challa was amputated, with Vision feeding him slowly to Scarlet Witch, keeping zombied Scarlet Witch alive. And so they
that's the reason why he's trying to like find a cure in the first place, because he cares about Wanda and wanting Wanda to live and come back.
Yes, which I just want to say their relationship is perfect.
Yeah.
No problems
whatsoever. It's not like, turning heroes into meals, holding a whole town hostage and something like that. Love's complicated, gang.
Especially when you're superpowered.
Exactly.
And one of you is a robot. So Vision atones for his sins and blasts the compound into the ground with his Mind Stone. He can't get infected because he's a robot. Hulk comes out eventually.
I wrote Hulk smashes. He's the last line of defense for the rest of the heroes to get to the Quinjet, right?
Mm-hmm. And then Black Panther, Spider-Man, and Ant-Man are all the ones that are left. Did Hulk ever get infected, or did he just
I think they just left that ambiguous.
Yeah. And then Zombie Thanos.
Okay. Where are the heroes going after that? Where are they going?
I don't know. And now, in my opinion, this episode was good, I think they could have done a lot more with it, because this was an episode that was actually... So, with a lot of the MCU, there's not... They do, go look at certain comic books for inspiration, they still very much have, their own distinct storyline that they follow. While with this one, there is an actual comic book series of the Marvel Zombies, and in it, a lot more happens, and it's a lot darker than what we saw in this. I believe it was also a different reasoning for the zombie apocalypse. But in the Zombies storyline, do you want me to go over this now or at the end?
I mean, we're talking about zombies now.
Yeah. So, in the zombie storyline in the comics, pretty much everyone you can think of was infected.
Really?
Almost, it was to the point where everyone on Earth was infected. And with this virus in particular, if the zombies were deprived of brains for a long period of time, they would eventually start to regain their normal self back. They wouldn't turn back into humans, but they would start to regain their consciousness back of not needing brains to survive, knowing that there's more that they can do and things like that. But as soon as they get brains back in their system, it's kind of like relapsing on a drug, where they go back into a relapse and are brain craved. But it honestly gave us one of the most tragic stories. The reason why I was really upset that Spider-Man didn't get infected, or wasn't even infected at all in the episode, is because the Marvel Zombies storyline, in my opinion and in some others' opinions, there's a whole video essay on it. Marvel Zombies gave us probably one of the best Spider-Man storylines out there.
Really?
Of him being torn apart the entire time, because in that, when he got infected from the Avengers, because the Avengers were some of the first to get infected, when he got infected, he went home to Aunt May and Mary Jane as the infection took over, and he wanted them to get away from him, but they didn't listen, and so he was the one who turned Aunt May, and I think this zombie virus works very similar to what we see in movies, where some people turn, some people just straight up die. And so in this, he straight up killed Mary Jane and Aunt May by his own hands. And then when he regained his consciousness back after being brain deprived for so long, he was like, holy shit, I killed them. And he has this very traumatic, like, reminiscence moment of like him having to live with that he was the reason why his Aunt May and Mary Jane died. Wow. And it's a very dark story.
I see.
I highly recommend it. It's a very good story, but it gets real dark.
I see. Wow.
And even the zombie designs were also really interesting. They did really good in this, but they had some more gruesome artistic images in the comics.
I see.
So yeah, on to episode 6.
All right.
What if Killmonger rescued Tony Stark?
Go.
So, phase 1.
Into Afghanistan, where it's being taken over by the...
Afghanistan 2008 Iron Man, the 10 Rings. Killmonger saves Stark. He never becomes Iron Man. That is true.
Yeah.
Was Killmonger's name just Killmonger? Like
Eric Killmonger.
It was Eric Killmonger.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't know if that's like that's his Christian name, gang. Killmonger. It's oh my god. But yeah, like the big point of this episode was just kind of the idea of what if Tony Stark never became Iron Man? What would the world look like if that happened? Killmonger is just there for the sake of being like
there.
Honestly,
like, I didn't. That was the one part I didn't understand is why was he there in the first place? That was the one thing I didn't understand. I mean, I get that like that's the whole reason why this universe exists is that Killmonger was there to save Iron Man. I mean, the reason that they give in the episode was that he was like at a base like a few miles away, I think.
Well, that was his cover story, right? Because we find out that like he has ulterior motives and he's just making stuff up on the spot.
Yeah, because we know that because later on we learned that he did know about the whole like deal that that Iron Man's right hand man had with the 10 Rings and stuff to kidnap Iron Man to turn him into what he was.
Yeah, the Jeffrey Bridges character. I forgot his actual name in the MCU.
Obadiah Stane.
Obadiah Stane. Okay.
AKA Ironmonger.
Right. Oh, the Monger. Oh, the Mongers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why? So Killmonger, after getting what would have been the ceremony of Iron Man coming home and saying "I am Iron Man," now is the ceremony praising Killmonger for saving Tony Stark.
Right.
Where Killmonger's like, "Hey, that Obadiah over there, not a good dude. Kind of wanted to kill you," and he's like. He's
really?
Fired. You're up. And then Happy's like, "Dang it, that was my promotion."
But no.
And so we then get, and then Killmonger is like, "Hey, I know how to build shit too," and so they build shit. I think
somewhere along that line. Yeah.
Science fair projects.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I hate that was like. Oh, you missed an E on Claw. There's technically an E.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay.
Anyways.
Yeah, also 3D print Lamborghini.
Yep.
There was that line in there, which I thought was really funny. But yeah, like Tony and Killmonger become like the very closest of friends after this point.
Yeah. And in Pepper. Do a barrel roll. Pepper asks Rhodey to run a background check on Killmonger as well. And so then we go see Stark buying vibranium from Ulysses Claw instead of it being Ultron, because this would have been this would have been Ultron buying vibranium from Ulysses.
Oh, that's what you mean.
During Age of Ultron.
Right. Yeah. I thought you meant we were buying it from Ultron in Age of Ultron. Wait, what do you mean?
No. This is like the scene comparison.
Okay.
But instead of just cutting off Ulysses' Claw's arm and turning him into the villain Claw, we then get them killing him.
Yeah. Remind me again, what exactly is this science fair project?
Wasn't it those robot things?
I believe
it was
so.
that like the high tech defense robots.
Yeah, because there is no Iron Man in this universe. Like I guess the replacement of that, instead of Stark building a suit for himself, it's just to build like an army of suits, an army of robot suits, basically.
Yeah, basically what Whiplash's plan was in Iron Man 2.
Right.
Of having it being unmanned drones.
Right. Yeah.
And so that I love that they kind of like pay homage to all these like Iron Man fault movies.
Yeah.
In the like because this is very reminiscent of like Iron Man film.
Right. Yeah. I like that they're still acknowledging that their early days. I'd rather a series do that in some instances, in the right instances, instead of just ignoring their early days altogether.
Yeah. Like, I really did like that in episode 3 we did see the Incredible Hulk again. Yeah. Instead of it just being like a one-time thing that we just never would go back to again.
Exactly. Who's Edward Norton again?
But yeah, and so Black Panther does drop in because remember this ship that Ulysses Claus owns is in Wakanda, or I'm sorry, Wakanada.
Wakanada?
Wakanda from Age of Ultron. That's how Bruce Banner is. It's a joke. That
that's right.
He was like, Wakanda. Which if you look up Wakanda, that's the name of the scene.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay, that's funny.
And so yeah, so Black Panther drops in. I believe Rhodey is already there too. Like Rhodey was there to be like a bodyguard of sorts for Tony.
Yeah, but like no War Machine suit.
Yeah, no War Machine suit because that would have never been made.
Right.
And so we then see Killmonger's true plan of having everyone die.
Yeah, this is like his ulterior motive all along. Like Stark is not with him during this mission to get the vibranium.
No, it was just Rhodey. Rhodey was the one with him. Yeah, Tony Stark was the one who had the idea of buying the vibranium.
Did they say how T'Challa figured out intel about this operation?
I don't think they did. I don't think they did.
Huh. Because they never really established if, like, maybe they did. I don't remember. If, like, T'Challa and Killmonger knew each other kind of, sort of like they did in the original Black Panther movie.
Yeah, I don't think they did.
Because they still keep the fact that Killmonger is still a Wakandan native because he's got the whole thing on his bottom lip thing. So, yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, everyone dies on that ship. And then when Killmonger comes back, Stark is like, I was recording the entire thing, right?
Yeah. And he's like, I had you caught on tape, bitch. World star this. And so Killmonger then... Well, first Iron Man, or Tony Stark, sicks one of their unmanned drones onto... Killmonger. Killmonger is able to defeat it. And then he kills Tony Stark.
Yeah, fucking stabs him in the shoulder and just like...
And then he's like, the difference between you and me is that you can't see the difference between you and me. Because Killmonger is very much a race-motivated villain.
Yeah.
He always has been. Even in his comic book counterpart, he was very much a race-centered villain he was very much in the idea that like you know how like in American history, like especially during like the Civil War and stuff, when slavery was very much a big thing.
Really now? I wonder why we had a Civil War.
I wonder. This movie cost more than the Civil War.
By inflation.
But anyways, no. So similar to how American history very much had that point in time where it was very much like whites were better than blacks. Killmonger has the mindset of blacks being better than whites. That they're not equal. One has to be bigger than the other, and so he thinks that all blacks should be bigger than whites.
Yeah, that's kind of
that's his racial motivation
in the comics, right? Because they had to like kind of like water this sort of black supremacist thing down for the movies because they didn't want to make it like too obvious because
in the movies I believe they dyed it down at least a little bit, enough for today's society to like understand it but not be hateful towards it.
Right, yeah, because they don't do the like obvious thing of like black people beating up a white person.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Which it didn't even happen too much in the comics, but in the comics, at least, Killmonger was he was just as racially motivated as he is in this.
Right. Yeah. And like T'Challa's supposed to be the one that's like we are better than what is on the outside. It is all on the inside. And then, yeah, this is my inside bitch.
Yeah,
pulls down the lip. Yeah, it's like that's why I wrote like a note like black people thing, because like I think we're supposed to mean like Wakandans should be like the total supremacists, but he says that thing to Rhodey, and like Rhodey being an American, he's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Because Rhodey very much has like American ideas of today of like everyone being equal and stuff like that. Like no man should be above someone else. But Killmonger is just very much like
which is like I think I wrote it down. It was like he should be now named Warmonger. Yeah. Killmonger's real name should be Warmonger. because after he killed Stark, he kind of like took over the whole like Stark drone program and kind of initiated like a fake war towards Wakanda.
And he I believe he used a Dora Milaje spear to kill him, and so that's why America goes after Wakanda, is because they think that Wakanda was behind Stark's death. And so Killmonger uses that to his advantage and makes them and is like, yes, you're right, we should go after Wakanda. And then they use the unmanned drones, and he knows very much about Wakanda, as he does because of his father. And so he knows that when they go through that force field, they're going to deactivate. That's why he gets in on the Wakanda side and is like, hey, there's an attack coming, but I know how to help it.
Under the red veil.
Yeah. So then during the attack, after they deactivate, he deactivates the shield, revealing Wakanda and letting the drones go back online. The government then sends them back in, and then the war ensues between the unmanned drones and Wakanda themselves.
Then it just kind of ends there. Like the episode basically just
they
ends
defeat
with,
them. They do defeat the drones. They were able to defeat all of them with some casualties, and then the end of the episode has Shuri
meeting up with Pepper Potts.
Yeah, and I believe two Dora Milaje. I know there were at least two other people there with her.
Okay.
Because I'm sure she was escorted there or something. Because she is a Wakandan princess.
Yeah.
And so she comes to Pepper and is like, we need to stop that Killmonger, dude. Pepper's like, yes.
Yeah, that's I couldn't agree more. High five. Alrighty, so that was episode 6. Now on to episode 7.
And the final stretch.
After Bryan stops texting with this fake girlfriend.
Anyways, on to episode 7. What if Thor were an only child?
This was fun.
This I think was just supposed to be like an icebreaker of sorts, of kind of we've had all this seriousness, let's get back to the comedy.
Right. It's like the first two were kind of like the more fun, maybe silly-esque kind of things. Yeah. Well, the first one was silly, but
and then episodes 3
through 5. Yeah, it's like that meme of the drawn-in shaded guy. Yeah.
3 through 6 was kind of just the dark times.
Episodes 1 and 2, episodes 3, 4, and 5, 6.
Yeah. And now we're back into the lightheartedness with what if Thor were an only child. In this, Odin, instead of taking Loki, gives Loki back to his father, kind of forming an alliance of sorts between the Frost Giants and the Asgardians.
Yeah, as we'll see later in the episode, Loki finally does become 11 foot. What?
He becomes his Frost Giant self.
Can you explain that?
So, Asgardian magic is very strange.
Okay.
I basically kind of just turned him Asgardian, of just you're white now. You're no longer blue. And that's why he didn't grow to his full size. However, whenever he was using because remember the Frost Giant artifact that they had, that's why whenever he used it,
that thing.
That's why he wasn't affected by it, is because he is a Frost Giant from birth.
Okay.
And that's why even his skin turned blue while using it. But in this, He stays a frost giant. He's able to grow to a full frost giant size. And be the frost giant he was meant to be. He still likes horns, though.
Yep.
So yeah, Odin goes into his Odin sleep, which is...
I thought he was dead. That's why I had to clarify my notes. Odin is
just sleeping gay. Yeah, no, in this he's going into his Odin sleep, which is an actual thing in the Norse mythology, where Odin, the father of the god of Thor, would basically just every 100 or so years he would just fall asleep. It was also
okay.
Well, actually, his Odin sleep was supposed to be a precursor to Ragnarok.
Oh, really? Okay.
It was either his sleep or his death. One of the two.
You'd think death because of the Ragnarok Thor film, right?
Yeah,
or something.
But
like
I don't remember. I'm not as well versed in my Norse mythology as I would like to be.
Gotcha.
So Thor's mother is very much like, hey, you got princely duties that you need to get to know if you're going to become king of this place. And Thor's like, I know, mother. Leave me the fuck alone.
But I just want to go to college and drink and have sex. Come on.
So
I'll go to the worst planet in the world.
Earth. So his mother goes to be with, her friends. As one does.
Asgardian spa.
The Asgardian spa, massage and spa. As Thor is like, yes, I'll do my homework. And he goes to party in Las Vegas. Which he does. He goes to Las Vegas, and Jane and her crew of Jane, Darcy, and their doctor are like, hey, anomaly. Let's go see what this is about.
What's going on, Vegas? Oh yeah, party time. Party time. Which is like, I like how this is the world's best alien invasion.
Yeah.
Bro, we are all scared of the alien invasion. Bro, who knew there were going to be such parties? I know.
My favorite part of this is the fact that Darcy actively considers dating a duck. She actively she's like, doesn't Howard even make a joke of like, once you go duck you never go back or something?
Then isn't something that happened in the Howard the Duck movies that he had sex with a human girl?
Yes,
that's what I thought.
The Howard the Duck movie that has nothing to do with the actual comics in any form. Quick tangent. Fun fact about that film: Robin Williams was actually supposed to be the original voice that they wanted for the Howard the Duck movie. Yeah, no, they actually wanted Robin Williams, but he didn't do it because he couldn't get it because he couldn't match the lips of the duck.
Huh.
He just couldn't work with the timing of it.
Interesting.
So he was like, "Fuck this."
Okay, then.
Which was a really good move on his part.
Fuck. Speaking of which, after that party,
Jane goes and sleeps with Thor in the most PG-13 way possible, which is she's just in her underwear.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I kind of thought they were alluding to in the most PG-13 way possible.
In PG-13, if you ever see someone wake up in bed in just their underwear and the man next to them is also just in their underwear, they most likely did it.
Yeah.
It's very much a cliche of PG-13 films, but it's the only one that we actually let them get away with because it's the only way they can get away with it. And so Jane, after confronting Thor at the party, it sleeps with him after barely even knowing him. They do make another hair joke.
Also, by the way, sleeps with is a euphemism for sex.
And S.H.I.E.L.D. also picked up on this very big anomaly, and they have come.
Yes, the anomaly.
Makes sexual gesture. And S.H.I.E.L.D. comes knocking on the door, and they're like, "Do you know this man?" "I've never seen this man a day in my life." "Are you sure?" "Yes."
Positive.
"Jane!" "Is that him?" "No." I love that this very much plays like a rom-com.
Yeah.
It very much plays like a college,
For sure.
like a college rom-com, which I really love.
I think that kind of alludes into the kind of fun the direction of this episode was taking.
Yeah. And so Party Fever, it's very much spreading. Everyone comes, even Loki and Frost Giant.
I like how they even like they consider like the Party Fever like an actual virus, an actual contagious virus that's spreading out the entire world.
And I love that they kind of like fool us because they make it seem like Loki and Thor are about to get into like a fight.
Oh, right.
But then it's like, your big blue butt. and you're just, and then it's like, hey, you're my brother from another mother, man.
They really have to do that joke. Oh man.
It kind of works with the frat boy aesthetic that they're going with, though.
Yeah, it kind of works even in context of how the actual MCU timeline kind of works.
Because their relationship has always been kind of like on and off of like friends and enemies. And so then eventually the party's crashed because Jane's like, okay, they really need to get out of here, otherwise we're about to have like a full-blown attack because like Captain Marvel comes and everything.
Captain Marvel was sent by S.H.I.E.L.D. to take care of the Party Fever.
To take care of the party animal.
Right.
And she puts up a pretty good fight.
Yeah, for sure. And then I really love the media outlash to this part because after how they concluded the fight was like Thor dropped the hammer onto Captain Marvel and she was not strong enough to actually get up from under it.
Yeah, because you're not worthy.
Exactly. But remember there's some interview that Brie Larson did around the time Captain
Marvel. Oh yeah,
no,
how she was like, oh Captain Marvel is definitely strong enough to lift Thor's hammer. Another reason why we all hate Brie Larson.
You must be so embarrassed!
Oh, Drax for the win. So they stop Captain Marvel, and then Jane does the bitch move and goes and tells on Thor to his mother.
I'm gonna tell on your mom. You wouldn't. Yes, I would. Oh no.
And then she's like, Heimdall!
Yeah, with a very loud speaker to actually get his attention.
Heimdall! And he's like, this bitch. Who is this human?
So yeah, Thor then has to clean up the entire planet.
Yep.
We weren't potting. We were doing my studies.
Yep. Doing human studies.
Doing human studies. That's how it works. I like how he corrects the fucking Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Right? He's just like, we need to fix everything. Corrects the Leaning Tower. Because he thought that someone must have done it. Everyone there is like, the fuck?
It's correct now.
All the tourists are like, come on, man, that's my thing. So they are able to clean up everything. Even Captain Marvel gets in on it and is like, here are the studies you asked for and things like that. And I love that he just has a group of people sitting crisscross applesauce in front of a blackboard. And then it's like, all right, well, we must be getting home. Yes, you're right. And then he gets his hammer.
Where's my hammer? Oh,
and then it's all like graffiti.
Graffiti, panties and all that,
The heart boxers.
Oh no. Oh.
I'm sure there's an image that you can find of his hammer.
Yeah. But yeah.
To show everyone.
That one was really a fun episode a while.
And then I love how they kind of end on what we would normally see as end credit scenes. They kind of just have as the end of the episode. They have their true resolution. They have their resolution to the conflict, and then they have their little bit of cliffhanger for the end.
Right.
And in this, we see the Watcher saying, but then but in my next vision I just see destruction or something like that, and then that's when we see a portal open up and we see Ultron. And that leads us into episode 8. What if Ultron won?
Yes, so this is where the formula of the show kind of breaks off from being episode, just their own kind of little misadventure, and we now see that there's a whole bigger picture going on here. With episode 8, what if Ultron won?
Yep. And you might be thinking to yourself, what do you mean win? Like, did he drop Sokovia? Did he destroy the planet? No, he got Vision's body.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's
part.
that's the win part.
Right.
Is that he was able to transfer his consciousness into the ultimate life form of Vision.
That makes me think, why did Ultron want to drop Sokovia in the first place?
That was his backup plan.
Oh, okay, whatever.
Or something. I don't know.
Okay.
It was if he couldn't get his real body, he was like, I'm gonna destroy the planet, because his ultimate goal was to get world peace, because that's his programming. His programming is world peace,
right?
And the only way to do that is the extinction of humans,
right?
And to rebuild it in his own image.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Anyways, Ultron winning. So yes, Ultron is able to transfer his body into Vision with the Mind Stone and everything. And we see him defeat the Avengers, except for two. And that's Hawkeye and Black Widow, which out of all the Avengers seem the most likely to die.
I mean, what gives you that impression? It's not like, what are their powers again?
A bow and arrow, and she's a girl.
Oh, I see.
So flexibility.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Robot Chicken actually made a joke about that, where they were making fun of the Avengers, and Black Widow was like, "Why do you guys even keep me around?" And then she like pouts on a wall with her back to them, and they're like, and then it's like that slow motion lust kind of view of Black Widow in her outfit, and they're all like, and then Hawkeye even has one later on in the episode after he uses the bathroom or something, and he's like, "Why do you guys even keep me around? All I have is a bow and arrow," and then he does it, and they're all like, "Oh my god," because they're just in like all they wear all day is leather,
right?
And so Hawkeye and Black Widow are the two survivors. And Hawkeye now has a robot arm for his shooting arm.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, did Bucky die?
Ultron's experiment in Age of Ultron actually worked. Yep. Ultron fires the world's nukes. I don't think it was the nukes. I think it was just regular missiles.
No, I think it was the nukes.
Well, if it was nukes, it would be more in like a nuclear fallout type world than anything. Because Hawkeye and Black Widow are just kind of like alive.
Well, they are kind of in that. They're the last two people alive.
I know, but if it was a nuclear fallout, I'm sure they would have died of nuclear radiation.
Do you think there's thought going into fucking Hulk exploded into a non-lethal gas? All right.
I gotta go with comic logic for these. So he fires everything, and everyone dies except for these two. And Ultron is after them.
Mm-hmm. So like, Ultron his knowledge only goes as far as the whole world. Yeah. So when Thanos actually does come, when Thanos actually makes a poor calculation, because remember the whole big thing of like Thanos appearing when he did exactly when, because everyone powerful enough of him already died in the original timeline. But so Thanos just made a poor calculation here and just like, I'm here. Fascinating.
Yeah, and Vision just slices him in half, which I think is the most gruesome thing we've seen.
Did somebody say half?
And Ultron gets the rest of the stones. We now get Infinity Stone power.
Infinity Stone Ultron. Yeah, wow. So now his knowledge of the world actually is now not just the world, but there are more.
The universe.
The whole universe. And he's like, there's still conflict in the universe. I must eradicate it all.
Yeah, he's even... It's weird seeing someone even more genocidal than Thanos, because we thought that like half the universe was too much, but now we're actually seeing the destruction of the entire universe.
It's like the joke I always made is like, if snapping could take away 50%, what if?
Yeah. And that's what.
And here we say, and what if?
Yeah, no, and honestly, there were two moments in this episode that really threw me off. The first was hearing Ultron's voice come out of Vision, and the second was just seeing how heartless Ultron truly was when it came to destroying everything.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Because usually, like, when we see how heartless a villain is, we only see it up until they're defeated. We never actually see their plans go all the way. The first time we got a glimpse of that was with Thanos. And we saw it from the views of our heroes, seeing half the universe disappear. But now we're seeing it from the Watcher's perspective of watching an entire universe die at the hands of a robot.
Yeah.
And so it very much like was a change in perspective.
Yeah.
And so Ultron while Ultron's destroying the universe, though, Black Widow and Hawkeye go and search out the one source that can stop Ultron, which is a Hydrophile called Arnim Zola. If you don't remember him, that's okay. He was a forgotten villain from Winter Soldier. Because we were all focused on Winter Soldier.
He was the living computer.
Yes. Which I'm so sad he never got his robot body. But that's okay.
I mean,
he kind of does.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm just going to assume Captain Marvel just died in this episode, too.
Yeah, he just... doesn't Captain Marvel, like, find Ultron?
Yeah, they do a battle, but, like, Ultron then sends her, like, to the center of the Earth or something.
Or, something like that.
So I'm just going to assume that she died.
Yeah. I'm going to assume he was able to kill her. But, yeah, so... With that, and again, we see him kill, like, Ego, Sakaar, Xandar. We see him kill, like, destroy...
He kills every single world in this universe, and he's like, I've done it. I finally achieved peace. And then the Watcher is like, I gotta do my narration thing for Kevin Feige's contract, alright? It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, he became aware of another. Who said that? Show yourself. And then, like, we see him see the, like, it's one thing to, like, see the Watcher in the background as, like, a shadow, but for someone to actually see that shadow was just, like, it was scary.
Yeah, and the only time that ever happened before was
in Doctor Strange,
the Doctor Strange episode.
Which even then, like, we saw him confront him, but Doctor Strange was only able to confront the Watcher when the Watcher allowed it. While in this, Ultron's powerful enough to just confront the Watcher head on. But yeah, so Hawkeye. So before Hawkeye and Black Widow find the file with Arnim Zola in it, Ultron and the Watcher have a really well done fight scene of them, like, smashing through through different universes, other worlds, and this is when Ultron finally realizes, like, the full potential of what he can help. Because in his eyes, he's helping.
Right, yeah.
Because that's what his program is to do, is to, as Iron Man said, peace in our time.
Right.
So Ultron is distracted by all these different universes to go help, and allows the Watcher to go away, because the Watcher is able to get away. And then that's when the Watcher is watching Hawkeye and Black Widow try to find the file, and Watcher's just like, come on, it's right there, get it! And then Black Widow's like, oh, what's this file over here? Oh, Arnim Zola. See, you would have missed it.
That was really funny.
It was. Because I'm sure we've all had those moments of, like, it should be right there. Now, where the hell is...
Or no, like, rather, you're just watching someone just painfully, because you know the answer is just right in the cabinet door, and then you're just watching, it's like, oh my god, how dumb are they?
Yeah, or, like, when you ask someone to get something for you, and you know where it is, but they don't.
Or, like you've worked in escape rooms, and you know the answers to the escape rooms, right? How painful is it to watch these people not figure out the most obvious of things?
Yeah, no, the most obvious of ones especially, because it's like, oh my god. No, because, like, in one of the rooms, there's a hole in the wall, because it's a 2-room, like, thing.
Yeah.
And they have to use this fishing pole to get to the other side to get, like, to retrieve one of the keys. And I'm just like, oh my god, you have a fishing pole and there's a hole. What do you expect to do? It's, oh my god. And then they always think that, like, there's, like, something on the papers or there's something on the walls, and I'm just like, no. We don't think that far ahead, y'all.
But so yeah, it's kind of like that.
Yeah, and so they're able to find the new the other file of Arnim Zola. They're able to get him, and they attach him to an arrow.
Right.
And then Hawkeye sacrifices himself to let Black Widow go with
the reversal of the Avengers Endgame event.
Mm-hmm.
Is like,
because instead of her falling into a hole, he does.
Yeah, exactly. Bye.
And
then the episode just kind of leaves off at the cliffhanger. Like, Watcher is able to get away because what happened? No, what happened?
Doctor Strange. I mean, Ultron was just kind of like, oh, that's right. It's because the Watcher sent him into an alternate universe, and then like closed the gate behind him, basically.
Right.
And that's how the Watcher was able to get away. Which I did really like. I found it interesting to like show that the Watcher was on a separate plane of existence. In that like really like long tunnel where you could see all the different.
Right, the crystal tunnel or something.
I want to say it was more like glass, like you were looking through mirrors of sorts.
Of sort. I say crystal because crystals are like organic life forms, so they have like their own unique shape to them and what have you. This kind of had its own unique shape to the whole reflection and everything, and even with that, like every light reflection off of every single little. I don't want to say panel, but like crystallized panel, I guess.
Yeah.
Every single light reflection was the universe.
Mm-hmm. And I did like that it was. I did like that they showed that while that when broken, it's very fragile.
Yes.
Like I did like that they showed that like the bridge between multiverses is actually very fragile.
Mm-hmm.
That even paperweights can destroy it. Anyways, so the end of the episode has the Watcher go to Doctor Strange, to Sorcerer Strange.
Sorcerer Strange's little pocket dimension that he created back in episode 4, when that entire universe fucking died.
On to the final final
episode, the climax of the whole What If Season 1 series.
What if the Watcher broke his oath? And I like how for this one, for the beginning with the TVA segment of them like rewriting the universe and like writing out the alternate universe title, I like that they didn't even show the TVA write out the Watcher break his oath. Like the Watcher just appears. I mean, I think they did write it out, but I think it was implied that the Watcher was the one who wrote it.
Oh.
Of like, what if the Watcher broke his oath? Because we see his reflection in the... because it's almost as if we're seeing his reflection in the screen. And so I thought that was actually a really cool thing that they did, of like almost implying that the Watcher was writing it himself. Because I don't even know if the TVA would be aware of the Watcher's existence.
Again, the TVA kind of... Loki revealed that the whole TVA shtick was bogus.
Exactly.
Yeah, so like... maybe Kang knew something about him. Maybe. If he decided to write him in the script at that moment. I don't know.
Yeah, because Kang is able to go like across time and stuff. Which Kang... It's interesting to see what they do with Kang. And that's a different story.
Anyways, what happens in there, because Watcher asked for Sorcerer Strange's help at the very end of the previous episode. It's like, I need help. I created this thing that's too powerful. Please help.
Yep, basically. And so they then go and recruit Captain Carter from her doing her Winter Soldier thing. Yep. And like, I do like that they even have like their own version of the talk between Steve and Black Widow, of it being Carter and Black Widow, of like, Steve from accounting. I mean, he might be, and then Carter's like, there's nothing good has ever started with a sentence that says Steve from accounting.
Steve from accounting.
I'm pretty sure Steve from accounting was the line, but I could be wrong.
Yeah,
it might have been a different name.
Besides the point, Watcher recruits Captain Carter, T'Challa from Cha-Cha, Infinity War Gamora, which was never shown before, but she's just kind of here now, which is odd. Eric Killmonger, the same one from the Warmonger episode,
who is now Black Panther.
Yes, and then Thor, the Las Vegas Thor.
Mm-hmm. The only child Thor.
Right.
And they are deemed the Guardians of the Multiverse.
Wow. Is that a thing in the comics?
I don't know.
Gotcha.
I'm going to assume maybe.
Okay.
And so yeah, Gamora, Killmonger, Thor, and all of them come together, and Ultron arrives to stop them because of something. I don't remember what they did to get his attention.
Like, they were all chilling out into some sort of planet campsite, just trying to, character moments,
Character moments, and come up with a plan on how to stop him.
Right, and then Thor was just kind of being his, college student self, was like, Viva Las Vegas!
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's what attracts Ultron.
Yeah,
is
it was
Thor doing that.
I'm dumb!
They also mentioned that Gamora has a an Infinity Stone Crusher.
Right.
Which, okay.
Okay. There's something about this plot that I thought they went in a certain direction with, but then they didn't.
Mm-hmm. And so they fight Ultron. And in doing so, they are able to steal the Soul Stone.
Right, the Soul Stone kind of becomes like the little MacGuffin. Yeah, little MacGuffin that's kind of...
Which I don't know why it had to be the Soul Stone specifically.
I don't know either.
That I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know
why
either.
Specifically the Soul Stone? But yeah, so
maybe that's the only one that could be held by bare hands or something.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, it would make sense why. But yeah. So they get the Soul Stone, and then they try and crush it. I say try because they do.
They try, but
which this explanation, I'm not gonna lie, was really stupid to me. Like, everything else about this episode was really great. It was just this explanation of the Stone Crusher was designed to crush the stones on my universe, not yours. And I'm like, what kind of sense does that make?
Okay, so when I first heard that line, I thought that meant they had successfully crushed those Infinity Stones. But then Ultron got some other Infinity Stones from a different universe. Because what I thought from that is every single universe in the multiverse has its own set of 6 Infinity Stones. I thought that's what they were going for. That they were going for, Ultron is oh, you destroyed my Infinity Stones?
No, because he didn't grab a new one.
I thought that's what they were gonna go for.
No, the whole explanation is just this Stone Crusher was designed to crush the stones on my universe, but not yours. And then the stone just is back.
Right, and
which I found.
If that were the case, they never explained if these Infinity Stones are every single individual one's from a different universe or not. I'd assume not.
No, I'm pretty sure it's the same 6 that we would have had in our MCU.
Okay.
Because the whole Ultron winning thing started in our MCU until the point where Ultron wins. Then that's when it deviates. So they're the same. I'm pretty sure that his set of stones is from the same universe where he got them.
Okay.
After slicing Thanos in half and everything.
Yeah.
But I hate the explanation, the MacGuffin of hey, Stone Crushers don't work on every universe. Okay.
I'd rather if the Stone Crusher did work, but then Ultron just okay, I'm back.
Yeah.
Because that would make the Stone Crusher obsolete at that moment, because it'd be way too much.
Because he could have an infinite amount of
try
Infinity
to destroy every single set of Infinity Stones in the multiverse. Yeah, no, that'd be just way too much.
Mm-hmm. But nope. And so then what they do is evil Doctor Strange opens up a portal and sends in all the zombies.
As a distraction,
so
they can get away. It's it's not just the zombies. Scarlet Witch zombie.
I love her her expression of oh shit, he's not dead.
Yeah.
She had Zombie Wanda had her own version of you took everything from me. I don't even know who you are.
I don't even know who you are.
The Zola arrow is still a thing.
Yeah, I completely forgot about it.
Somehow they are able to infect all Ultron. They are able to put the arrow in him.
I sent you the meme of the knight.
Yes. Yes, you did.
I'll put a picture of it on the screen because that's basically how it works.
It is. It really is. And so they put him away. Oh, that's right. The Black Widow from the Ultron universe was also here.
The nuked universe.
Yeah, because they do go back to the nuked universe. And I do like the interaction between Captain Carter and Black Widow, of like Black Widow having no idea who she is, but she knows everything about her.
Yeah.
I did like that dynamic.
Yeah, which I was kind of thinking, because this is a different Black Widow than Captain Carter knows. I was like expecting either what happened or the other. In the inverted part is like, that is not my backstory at all. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, being completely different.
Right.
I do like that. Like they make a joke of like, in my universe, it's Captain America because Steve got the serum instead of you, and she's like, wouldn't that be a sight to see? I would love to see Captain Carter meet Captain America.
Super soldier set.
I mean, who knows?
That's a lot of broken bones.
Yeah. So Zola infects Ultron and destroys Ultron's AI.
Yeah, it's sort of like similar to how Ultron kind of killed Jarvis in Age of Ultron. Sort of similar to that.
Killmonger then obtains the Infinity Stones somehow.
I mean, if Iron Man can do it, I guess anybody can, right?
Yeah, because apparently Ultron had nanobot technology on him.
Exactly.
And so Killmonger gets his own set of armor, to better up his Black Panther suit with the Infinity Stones. And then that's when Arnim Zola's like, "Hey, you have my body." And I think that this is looking back on it, so Arnim Zola in the comics did have a robot body, and in it, his face was in the middle, like where the torso would be, and I love that they kind of referenced that in here with having his face in the torso of Ultron.
I see.
Instead of it just being where the head would be. I believe they still have like the green glowing through like Vision's like face, but Arnim's face itself is in the torso, which I really did like that detail. Zola then takes them back, and so then Black Panther and Zola are fighting over them.
Or Killmonger.
Killmonger, Black Panther.
They're all black. I can't tell the difference. But yeah, no, this is when I think is Strange that
Strange was the one
finally got the idea. Is like, oh, we weren't actually supposed to get the stones back. We're supposed to essentially put these two in a stalemate, right?
Yeah. In a constant stalemate, and then he just puts them in another pocket world like his was, in that little pocket dimension, in the little purple crystal. Purple crystal
and then
ball.
Just shrunken down. Now they're gonna fight for eternity in my hand.
Yep, and he becomes the Watcher over them. The Watcher watching Doctor Strange watch them. It's a reaction instead of a reaction. Us watching the Watcher watch Doctor Strange watch Zola and and Killmonger.
The word "watch" was uttered 7 times during that last sentence.
So yeah. And then everyone returns to their proper place. Doctor Strange goes back to his own pocket dimension. Captain Carter goes back to
the Winter Soldier timeline.
Thor goes back to being an only child. But Black Widow, Watcher gives Black Widow a special gift. And that's going to a world without Black Widow. And we then cut back to the what if the world lost its mightiest heroes, where we see Black Widow join them.
Was it that one specifically?
Yes, I believe so.
Because I thought some other heroes were alive in that one as well.
Yeah, Captain America and Captain Marvel.
Oh, okay. Huh. I didn't notice that before.
And so Black Widow goes and helps to defeat Loki and his army.
Oh. See, I never put the picture before. I saw after this episode aired on social media, they're like, what if they actually sent Black Widow to the Infinity Saga timeline? Because we lost our Black Widow there.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah.
So
Alrighty. And then the post-credit scene of this,
which I never thought we were actually. My opinion was, what I thought going in was we were either going to get an end credit scene every episode, with it being like a little like teaser for the next episode.
Time on What If.
Yeah. I thought it would have been. I thought they would have done something like that, or they just would have not done a post-credit scene at all until this episode, and they're like, "Hey, fuck you." Where they finally give us a post-credit scene, and that being Captain Carter back in the Winter Soldier, in her version of the Winter Soldier. They find the Hydra Stomper with someone inside. What if Steve was the Winter Soldier? That would quite be the twist.
Someone.
Next thing you know, they open it up. We just see the rotted corpse of Steve. Wouldn't that be a twist?
Zombies 2?
Not even just a rotted corpse of Steve, because the Hydra Stomper wouldn't be able to keep him alive for 70 plus years.
Zombie Hydra Stomper. Oh yeah, no. But alrighty then. That was season 1 of Marvel's What If.
Woo!
Woo! We did it, gang. A little over 10 minutes for each episode summary, but that is okay.
There's a lot to talk about. Okay.
Yeah, kind of a lot. It was a fun time. I think this show, like I said at the beginning of this episode, beginning of this video, like this was supposed to be like the idea of like adventures in all the other multiverses now, because the concept of the multiverse is now a thing in the MCU. So we just want to see kind of little fun misadventures happening in all these other ones. Again, they didn't have to do the whole thing where everything culminated into a big climactic finish at the end of it. They could have just had it like every single episode be its own little adventure in the MCU. Yeah. They didn't have to like bring everything all together, but they did. It's not to its detriment, because what they did is awesome, but it was totally unnecessary as a thing. But it was fun. And you, Bryan?
I had a lot of fun with it, because I knew going into it that it wasn't going to be, I think I'm pretty sure part of me knew going into it that it wasn't going to follow like exactly beat for beat the MCU, just with like minor alterations here or there. But I think I really wanted that, like, subconsciously, and that's why Captain Carter really threw me off. But then every episode past that, something that I really wanted to do actually before we recorded this, but I never actually got around to it, was I did want to go back and rewatch the episodes.
Oh, really?
To see like if my opinions would have changed about them in any way, because looking back on it, I'm actually finding a lot about the Captain Carter episode that I do like.
Oh, really?
It was just a really big change to see a tentacle monster in a Captain America, essentially what would be a Captain America type film.
Yeah, that might be like the one thing off with its entire direction.
Yeah.
I didn't have too much of a problem with it, because I feel like, again, episode 1 was trying to introduce us to what kind of direction the show would
how
take.
it wasn't going to follow beat for beat the MCU.
And also, it can get away with a tentacle monster.
Yeah.
because this show is animated. It's not live action. I think that's another tell of I can see, like, these adventures aren't really that important in the grand scheme of things. I don't know. This is just kind of how it works necessarily, because you could call the Clone Wars TV show like not very important to the movies because of its animated nature.
Yeah,
that's a take that with a grain of salt, Star Wars fans. But yeah.
But I think that's why a lot of this show works, is because it's animated. That's why I think the Doctor Strange episode really works with all those creatures, because we know that if it was a live action film, all those creatures would just be CGI.
Right.
Because there's no way you can actually, like, unless you used animatronics of some form, there would be no fluid way of making those things come to life without making it CGI.
Yeah, and
but in animation, because everything is animated, it all looks the same, and so it all looks like it's in the same world. And so it feels more real in a sense.
Yeah, in a sense. Like a live action thing, especially nowadays, can super get away with the kind of action sequences that the show had. It could totally get away with that because of the technology of live action stuff that we have nowadays. But that's not what they chose to do here.
No.
Yeah, they specifically chose to do the whole show animated.
And I think part of that could be to show that this is different from the MCU.
Right.
Like from
yes.
from a thematic point of view, because our MCU has always been live action, to show that this is something different but still kind of in the same ideal.
Yeah.
They use the majority of the same actors, so that we could have at least the voices, but they made it animated to show that it was different.
Right, yeah. Because if it were live action, we'd be super confused and wonder, there's like, I thought Black Widow died.
Yeah. Which I don't even know if Scarlett... I don't even... Did Scarlett Johansson voice Black
No,
Widow?
it was someone named Lake Bell. I'm kind of familiar with her work. I like her voice. Yeah. But yeah, I think the animated approach was definitely the way to go with this show.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is super fun to watch. And how we know, like, even these shows are condensed into 30 minutes. As we know, we're not supposed to take them that seriously. It's just something fun and silly to watch.
Yeah.
Conceptually as well.
Plus, in order to binge it, you don't need to spend, like, instead of 9 hours, it's like half the time.
Right, yeah. Wow. Going back to WandaVision would be 9 hours, wouldn't it? Or roughly.
Roughly. Especially with that last episode being, like, an hour.
Yeah.
Because with WandaVision, each episode got a little bit longer each time.
Yeah, it's a little bit. Oh, no. Yeah, so there's that.
Meanwhile, there's the Bad Batch. R2, we're supposed to be going up, not down.
R2, I don't know why they made the very first episode an hour and a half long, then the rest are 20 minutes. I really don't understand that. I really don't.
That was honestly one of the reasons why I never really got into Sherlock, was just because of how long the episodes were.
Really?
Because all of them were longer than an hour. And I was like, no.
They definitely cut some stuff for the TV runs then. Okay. But yeah, that was our coverage, our season summary of Marvel's What If. It was a very fun show. I really do recommend this if you haven't watched it already, because I don't know why you listened to our entire thing here if you haven't already. But yeah, this is a very fun to do. I actually liked doing this for the TV show stuff now. This is 100% better than the episode by episode coverage. You'd agree, right, Bryan?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, for sure, yeah. What were we thinking?
Because we have the energy to just go through all of it at once instead of like slowly dwindling us down episode by episode.
What were we thinking? I don't know either. But yeah. We'd like to thank you for tuning in to us, and make sure that you hit that like button and that subscribe button so you can keep up to date with all of our content, because in the future we will be doing every single new MCU movie and TV show that is going to come out in the future, a month after the release. It's going to be fun, and our coverage, like, not to tune our own horn or anything, but I do like how insightful our coverage is, because like my direction with how I want these videos to go is basically by synopsising, by having someone describe to you the synopsis of a movie or a TV show. You're kind of rewatching the movie or TV show inside your head, and so that's basically kind of the idea that I want to portray with these videos. So if you like that kind of coverage, because if you haven't seen like episode 1 in a while, you were watching the movie again, weren't you? Inside your own head. Yeah, it's kind of fun like that. So if you'd like more with that, with the future content, you can hit that subscribe button with all of our Marvel content.
Whoa.
Yeah. What was that?
I don't even know what the fuck
that
that
sounded
was.
like a burp.
I was trying to say woo, it just came out like that.
So what's next, Bryan?
Up next is probably going to be the most forgettable MCU event of the last few years, Eternals!
What?
Woo!
What's an Eternal?
I don't even want to get into that right now.
Okay.
We'd be here for another hour.
It seems that Bryan has some like pre-opinion stuff of Eternals. Even
I
though it's
do.
Not yet. Alrighty then. So there's that. But we're also going to be doing something not MC related. This is kind of like a little side passion project, not of mine, but for a dude friend named of Clark's. He wants to watch the...
That's right, I've completely forgotten we're going to watch Doom. Shit!
Oh my god.
That's next Friday, isn't it? Ah!
You forgot, didn't you?
I did. Shit. Oh man, it's amazing how many well-known actors are in that film. I mean, they got Jason Momoa, Dave Bautista, Zendaya.
Yeah. It's gonna be wild. So yeah, we're gonna do a non-MCU project called Dune. It's going to come out in the next month, and it's
a remake of a 1960s or 70s film.
Yeah, it's something along. It's science fiction. I don't know much about it. This is something that Clark is interested in. I figured, he's the one that he got me.
Sorry, 84.
84. He was the one that got me to do the original Joker video, because I was not interested in that movie at all. But then he took me to watch it, and I was like, this is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen.
Joker was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I love that film.
I'm glad I went to watch that, because I would not have watched that at all. So I'm going to see if this is a similar experience again, and we'll do a video of it for the channel. So, with that said, do you have anything else to say, Bryan, before we go?
Nope. Were you expecting me to say no? But
alrighty then, so thank you guys for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic night, and take care.
Yep.